Hello learners, welcome back. In this video, we are going to solve previous year's GATE question based on classification of soil. So here goes our first question. The first question says that the laboratory test results of a soil sample are percentage finer than 4.75 millimeter is given as 60% and percentage finer than 0.075 millimeter is 30%. The liquid limit of the soil is 35% and the plastic limit of the soil is 27%. And the soil classification is, the four options are given. This question was asked in the year 2009 in the GATE examination. Now let's solve this question. Those who don't know about the classification of soil, kindly go through my video on the concept of classification of soil, the link of which you will get in the description box, or you can click on the I button shown in the right top hand corner. So let's suppose this is 4.75 millimeter sieve and 60% of the particles are passing through this. So how much percent is retained on this? So 40% of the particles are retained on this sieve. Now what happens is, there is another sieve which is having 75 micron or 0.075 millimeter or 75 micron. 30% of the particles are passing through this sieve. Whenever you solve such questions, I would request you to draw a diagram. This will help you out to solve the question. Now our first aim is to classify the soil. So soil could be coarse grained soil or fine grained soil. Okay, so soil may be either coarse grained or fine grained. So first of all, let's identify whether the soil is coarse grained or whether it is fine grained. So if 50% or more than 50% of the soil is retained on the 75 micron sieve, then the soil is coarse grained soil, right? So if 30% of the particle is passing through 75 micron sieve, how much particles can be retained on this sieve? 70% of the particles is retained on this sieve, okay? Because out of total 100%, 30% of the particle is passing through 75 micron sieve and 60% of the particle is passing through 4.75 millimeter sieve. That means total 70% of particle is greater than 75 micron sieve. Now according to the definition of the coarse grained soil, we know that if 50 or more than 50% of the particle is retained on 75 micron sieve, it is coarse grained. So our first task is complete. It is coarse grained soil. Now coarse grained soil can be further classified as a sand or a gravel. Now our task is to identify whether it is a sand or a gravel. Now how to identify that? If 50% or more of the coarse fraction is retained, on 4.75 mm sieve, then it is a gravel, otherwise it is a sand. Okay, is greater than, let's say greater than 4.75 millimeter, greater than or equal to 4.75 millimeter, then it is a, this implies it is a gravel, or else it is a sand. So let's see what is that. What is 50% of the coarse fraction? How much is the coarse fraction? We got the answer as 70. Our coarse fraction was 70%. What is 50% of 70%? 50% of 70% is 35%, right? So 40% of the total soil is retained on 4.75 millimeter, which is greater than 35%, right? That means our soil is a gravel because 50% of the coarse fraction is retained on 4.75 millimeter sieve. That means it is a gravel. So the answer could be A or C, right? It is not a sand, so option B is eliminated. It is not a silt, so option D is also eliminated. It is a gravel. Now our task is to find out what sort of gravel is it. Is it silty gravel or is it clay gravel? Okay, so for that, let's see how much is the percentage of fines. Fines is particles less than 75 micron. The percentage of fines is 30%. See here, this is the percentage of fines. Now if the percentage of fines is greater than 12%, we have to use the plasticity chart. So let's do that. So here is the plasticity chart. This green line over here is A line, and the equation of the A line is very important. You must know what is the equation of A line. It is 0.73 WL minus 20. So this is an equation. So this is IP. IP is equals to 0.73 WL minus 20. This is the equation of A line. Now our task is with the A line. We have to identify whether the percentage of fines is silt or clay. It can either be silt or it can either be clay. Right? So how we will do that? So for that, liquid limit and plastic limit is given to you. So from here, can we find the IP, that is plasticity index of the soil? Definitely we can. So what is plasticity index of the soil? Given soil, plasticity index is liquid limit minus plastic limit. That is 35 minus 27. It is 8%, right? But we have to find whether it is a silt or clay. What is the liquid limit? Liquid limit is exactly 35%. So here is the 35% point. This is the 35% point. Now we have to identify whether our soil lies above the A line or below the A line. At exactly 35%, what is the Y coordinate? We have to find out first. So what is our next task? We have to find out at exactly 35%, what is this IP? What is the value of IP? Then only we can find whether our soil lies above the A line or below the A line. So let's do that. We know the liquid limit of the soil, right? Liquid limit of the soil is given as 35%. We know the equation of A line. Let's put this liquid limit into the equation of the soil and let's find out what is the value of IP at 35%. So 0.73, 35 minus 20, and that will come out to be 10.95. Right? So here the value of IP is how much? 10.95. And what is the IP of our soil? The IP of our soil is 8%. Right? So 8% is definitely below 10.95, somewhere here. So what is this soil? This lies in the silty region. So our answer is first one, silty gravel. The soil is what? Silty gravel. Easy. Again, I'm telling you, those who don't know how to classify the soil, kindly go through my videos on the classification of the soil, in which I have very elaborately explained how to classify soil according to Indian soil classification system. Now let's move ahead with our next question. The next question says that the sieve analysis on the dry sample of soil of mass 1000 grams showed that 980 grams and 270 grams of the soil passed through 4.75 millimeter and 75 micron sieve respectively. So let me first draw the diagram. When you draw the diagram, the question becomes very easy. Initially we were having 1000 kgs of the 1000 grams of the soil, and out of that 1000 grams, 980 grams passed through 4.75 millimeter sieve, right? Now 720 grams also passed through 75 micron sieve. This is 270 grams also passed through 75 micron sieve. The liquid limit and plastic limit of the soil fraction passing through 75 micron sieve are 40 and 18 respectively. So what is liquid limit given to you? Liquid limit is given as 40 and the plastic limit is given to you as 18%. The soil may be classified as, again they are asking you about the soil classification. So what is our first step? Our first step is to find whether the soil is fine grained soil or the soil is a coarse grained soil. So soil can be either fine grained, or it can be coarse grained. So let's do that. From 4.75 millimeter sieve, how much is passing? 980 grams. 980 grams of 1000 grams means 98% of the soil is passing through 4.75 millimeter sieve, and only 2% is retained over here, and 270 grams of the soil is passing through a 75 micron sieve. That means 27% is passing through 75 micron sieve, and how much percent is retained? 100 minus 27, 73% is retained. 73% is retained on 75 micron sieve. So according to the definition, if 50 or more than 50% of the soil is retained on 75 micron sieve, it is a coarse grained soil. It is 73%, so definitely our soil is coarse grained soil. So that is confirmed. So let me just make this like this. This is our coarse grained soil. Now, coarse grained soil can be further classified as sand or gravel. Our next task is to identify whether the soil is gravel or sand. Now, if more than 50% of the coarse fraction passes through 4.75 micron sieve, 4.75 millimeter sieve, it is sand, otherwise it's gravel, right? So 50% or more. So what is 50% of coarse fraction? What is the total coarse fraction? Total coarse fraction was 73%, right? This was the total coarse fraction. What is 50% of 73%? It is greater than at least 35%, right? 35%, somewhat greater than 35% is 50% of 73%, right? For a rough calculation, I'm taking it as 35%. But only 2% is retained over here. Not 35%, just 2% is retained over here. Rest all the soil is passing through 75 micron sieve. So definitely it is going to be a sand, not gravel. Because for being a gravel, at least you should have 35% of the soil retained on this sieve. But what is the scenario? The scenario is that only 2% of the soil is retained on 4.75 millimeter sieve. That means it is going to be a sand, definitely a sand. So our first part of the classification is done. We could identify that it is a sand. But there are two options showing here, that it could be a silty sand or it can be a clayey sand. What is the answer? So our next task starts here. See here, 27% of the soil is fines. It is 27%. That means it is greater than 12%. That means we have to identify what sort of fines it is. Now, for that we have to again move on to the plasticity chart. So here is the plasticity chart. As I have told you, this is the U line. I'm not writing the equations again. This is the U line, this is the A line. The equation of A line is important. So IP is equals to 0.73 WL minus 20. This is the equation of the A line. What is the IP or the plasticity index of the soil here? Given soil, IP of the soil is liquid limit minus plastic limit. Both are given to you. So liquid limit is how much? It's 40%, and how much is plastic limit? It is 18. So 40 minus 18 is 22%. This is the IP. Now let's identify whether our soil lies above the A line or below the A line. So for liquid limit 40, this is the liquid limit 40. For this liquid limit, this is liquid limit, we have to find what is the value of IP over here, plasticity index over here. So we have to find the value of IP over here. How to do that? Easy. It's very easy peasy. We have to put the value of WL, that is liquid limit, as 40 in this equation. So let's do that. IP is equals to 0.73. What is 40 minus 20? So it will be 0.73 into 20. Now this calculation is super simple. This is 14.6. So this point over here is 14.6. And what was our IP? Our IP was 22. So 22 is definitely greater than 14.6. 22 lies somewhere here. So that means what is it? It is a clay zone. Anything above the A line is clay zone. So here it is definitely clay and not silt. So our answer is option number A. This is clay. So it is clayey sand. SC means clayey sand. C stands for clay and S stands for sand, and we call it as clayey sand. That was our second question. Now let's move on to very few rapid fire questions which were asked of 1 marks. So here goes our question. As per the United Soil Classification System, that is Indian Soil Classification System, the type of soil represented by MH is, what is MH? So this is silt and this is high compressibility silt. Okay. So whenever the liquid limit of the soil is greater than 50, this is the 50 mark. Whenever the liquid limit of the soil is greater than 50, it is having high compressibility. So the CH means it is clay with high compressibility, MH means silt with high compressibility, or OH means organic soil with high compressibility. So MH is silt with high compressibility. So inorganic clays, this option is wrong. Inorganic clays, this option is wrong. Inorganic silts of high plasticity with liquid limit more than 50%. This option is correct. Of high, and what is the last thing? Inorganic silts of low plasticity. No, this is of high plasticity. H means high plasticity. So this is the correct option. Option number C. This was a very simple question and it was asked in the year 2021. Let's move on to the next question. Here goes our next question. Next question says that the notation SC as per Indian Soil Classification System refers to, super easy question asked in the year 2009. SC means S stands for sand and C stands for clay. This means it is a clayey sand. Clayey sand. So you might get confused whether it is clayey silt or clayey sand. It is clayey sand. Why is it not clayey silt? Because for silt the symbol used is M. Okay. Let's move ahead. A fine grained soil is found to be plastic in water content range of 26% to 48%. That means the soil is in plastic state between these two water content. That means this is the liquid limit of the soil. This is the plastic limit of the soil. As per the Indian Soil Classification System, the soil is classified as. So it is already given that the soil is a fine grained soil. We just have to find how is it classified, whether it is a clay or a silt or what. So it is already a fine grained soil. So we have to use the plasticity chart in order to find the correct answer. So what is IP of the soil? It is liquid limit minus the plastic limit. So what is the liquid limit of the soil? It is 48% given in the question, 26% given in the question. They have not given you what is the liquid limit and the plastic limit of the soil directly. In fact, they have given you in language. So you must understand the language of the question. The fine grained soil is found to be in plastic state in water content and the range of 26% to 48%. So this means, I've already explained what does it mean. It means it is a liquid limit of the soil. This is the plastic limit of the soil. So from here you can find the plasticity index, 22%. So our IP is 22 and what is the liquid limit? It is 48%. So let's calculate at 48% what value of IP we get from the plasticity chart. So what is the equation of A line? It is IP is equals to 0.73. You see we are using this multiple number of times. So you must remember this. WL minus 20. So it is 0.73. What is the liquid limit given in the question? 48 minus 20. So it is 0.73 into 28. So this will come out to be 20.44. Now this 20.44 is less than 22, right? So this is 20.44. And what is the IP? IP is here. Our IP of the soil, of the given soil is 22 given here. So it is definitely a clay, and clay with intermediate plasticity. This is the correct answer. Clay with intermediate plasticity, because the liquid limit is in the range of 35 to 50. See, I have given you, I have solved this question, but there is a trick also so that you can solve this question directly without anything. All the options, by just seeing the option, whenever you are giving the gate examination, you don't have to solve it like this, right? You have to be very smart. See, all the options are given as clay, 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 clay. If it is clay, it is either low, high, or intermediate, right? We know the liquid limit of the soil. This is the liquid limit of the soil, right? The liquid limit of the soil is 48, which is between 35 to 50%, right? It is between 35 to 50%. So directly we'll go with clay with intermediate plasticity. No need to go for these calculations. So I'm also teaching you the trick how to solve it in the examination. Once you see the liquid limit, once you see the options all are given as clay, then definitely it is going to be the last one. You don't need to do all these things, but as per the procedure I have explained you the process. Let's move ahead. As per the Indian soil classification system, then expression for the A line is, what is the expression for the A line? This was asked in the GATE 2014 directly. So you definitely know the answers. IP is equal to 0.73, WL minus 20. There is no doubt. So this equation is very important. So next, here goes the next question. A fine-grained soil has a liquid limit of 60. So what is WL given as 60? The plastic limit of 20. The plastic limit is given as 20. As per the plasticity chart, according to the IS classification, the soil is represented by letter. So it is given as it is a fine-grained soil. Now we know that liquid limit is 60. See, we have to be very smart. The liquid limit is 60. That is greater than 50. So it is going to be H, something H, whether, and everything is given in clay, 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 clay. So the answer is definitely going to be CH, right? Clay with high plasticity, because it is given in the question the liquid limit is 60. And you know that whenever the liquid limit is greater than 50, it is going to be high plasticity, right? So if you want, you can solve it this way, or there is another way. I'm not going to repeat that again. You have to find the IP of the soil, then the IP from the plasticity chart, and then compare and all do that. You are going to waste your time. The 1 marks question is not for that. Let's go for the next question. As per the Indian Standard Soil Classification System, a sample of silty clay with liquid limit of 40% and plasticity index of 28%. So liquid limit is given as 40% and plasticity, look here, plasticity index is given as, not plastic limit. Up till now, they were giving you plastic limit of the soil, but they might give you plasticity index of the soil. So IP is given as 28%. The soil is classified as. So IP is given as 28%. Liquid limit is 40%. What is the classification of the soil? 40% definitely lies here. So it is going to be clay, clay, clay. Again, the question is giving you clay, and this is going to be intermediate plasticity, right? 40% range is lying in the intermediate plasticity. So we are not going to solve this directly. Let's move on to the next question. Data from the sieve analysis conducted on the given sample of the soil shows that 67% of the particles passes through 75 micron sieve. So there is a 75 micron sieve and 67% of the particles are passing through this. What do you mean by this? Now, without reading further, can you identify whether the soil is a fine-grained soil or a coarse-grained soil? If more than 50% of the particle is passing through 75 micron sieve, the soil is going to be a fine-grained soil. There is no doubt. So that means 67% of the particles is passing through 75 micron sieve. It is a fine-grained soil. The liquid limit and the plastic limit of the finer fraction was found to be. So liquid limit is given to you 45 and plastic limit WP is given as 33%. The group symbol of the given soil is. So, okay, we have to find the group symbol. So, liquid limit is 45%. 45%, that means it lies somewhere here between 35 and 50 here somewhere. So, it is either clay with intermediate plasticity or silt with intermediate plasticity. Whatever it is intermediate plasticity, right? But here, see, it is given as sand. See the options. It is sand. No, definitely it is a fine grained soil. So option 1 is eliminated. Silt with intermediate plasticity. Then clay with high plasticity, eliminated. It is going to be a intermediate plasticity soil, and silt with high plasticity, eliminated. So answer is option number B, directly. Okay, so let's go for one more last question. The group symbol assigned to silty sand. Silty sand, what is it? Sand is S and silty sand is MSM. And clayey sand, what is it? Sand is S, you have to write it in a crisscross way, and clayey sand means it is C over here. So let me just do it once again. How do we write the symbols? We write the symbols in a crisscross way. Silty sand, sand is what? S, and silt is what? M. So silty sand is SM, clayey sand, sand is S, and clay is C. So crisscross way. So silty sand is SM and clay sand is SC. So you just have to check the option SM and SC. This is the correct answer. This was asked in the GATE 2008. This chapter is one of the most easiest chapter, most marks fetching chapter. So I hope you liked it, enjoyed it. Till then, bye bye. Have fun and do like and follow me for more.